Errol Spence versus Sebastion Fundura is canceled. New opponent, Charles Conwell. Let's talk.
Straighter, not roundhouse right hand.
And that's what we've been talking about, the straight shot. The one where he gets leverage on it.
I don't want to kill
Pull
somebody
back
for
a little
few
bit.
seconds.
Nah, I want a body on my record.
Now, I want to see you fight motherfuckers. I do. All right, I'm with you. I'm with you. As long as you're trying to fight the great, the best competition.
No. With Errol Spence and Sebastion Fundura being canceled, Charles Conwell is the one that's stepping in. Shout out to my big bro Kano, who when the news dropped, he called Charles, text him, and Charles told him that it's not official, but they're working on it. It's not official, but they're definitely working on it. All right? They're definitely working on it. This is an amazing fight, y'all. Amazing fight. Now, I want people to understand something. This fight is actually better than the Errol Spence fight. All right? It's actually better. Let me explain. Errol Spence works behind his jab masterfully. Styles make fights. He works masterfully behind his jab, right? But he didn't do that with Terrence Crawford. He just stepped to Terrence Crawford and he was looking to just knock him out, right? Styles make fights. They always have. They always will, which is why I believe in the rematch with Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. If it ever happens, it would be a different fight. Maybe the same outcome. Maybe. But the fight would be different because Styles make fights, and how he fought to knock the man out. He didn't fight to box, right? Like I said, the outcome may not be different at all, and then it may. Charles Conwell fights to get close to you and get you out of there. He is an aggressive, he's a monster, which is why when he was set to fight Boots, when Boots was trying to work out a deal to fight Charles Conwell, bro, I was thinking that's a better fight than him fighting Virgil Ortiz. In all honesty, Charles Conwell versus Jerron Boots Ennis is a better fight for Boots. It's a better fight for Boots. Not better as far as name recognition and style. Better fight for Boots, meaning if he beats a Charles Conwell, then beating a Charles Conwell, his style is a better style than Virgil Ortiz. Virgil Ortiz's footwork is null and void. Conwell has better footwork, not the greatest of footwork. Now, don't get twisted. I'm saying just some savant when it comes to footwork. No, his footwork is better than Virgil Ortiz. His footwork is better than a lot of opponents at 154, a lot. And the way he moves in, the way he jabs his way in, with power jabs, power punches to get in. I think that fight versus Sebastion Fundura that's a banger, an absolute banger, absolute banger. Errol Spence versus Fundura is bigger, way bigger, because that's Errol Spence. It wouldn't matter who Errol Spence fought. It would be bigger than anybody that's fighting at 154. It wouldn't matter because that's Errol Spence, right? I'm speaking strictly of the style, and it's man down over here. Man down. And I'm going to speak about what they're doing to Errol Spence right now, because at 154, those guys is mixing it up. They're all fighting. All of them are fighting. All right? So for them to not get Errol Spence into a fight right away, for them to not get him into something is bonkers to me. It's absolutely bonkers. This man should have been fighting, bro. He should have been on it. But for some strange reason, they held him out. And it blows my mind on why they did. It really does blow my mind for why they did that. But again, I'll do another live on that. I'm going to do one all by itself. I'll break down, not in this one, I'll break down how I think the fight, why I think Charles Conwell will beat Sebastion Fundura. Well, I'll break that down another one, right? I'll touch on it here, but I'll break it down. I believe Charles Conwell is going to stop Sebastion Fundura. I believe Erickson Lubin would have stopped Sebastion Fundura if Erickson Lubin would have been a little bit more defensively sound. Erickson Lubin caught him multiple times, hurt him multiple times, right? And then got greedy and wasn't defensively sound and got caught himself. Charles Conwell doesn't fight that way. He don't fight that way at all. Styles will always make fights. Always. Charles Conwell versus Sebastion Fundura is a phenomenal fight. So, with all of 154, always mixing it up, and they have been for years. That's why it's been the most popping, most exciting division. It's been all of that because all the best fight the best at 54, right? They slowed down a little bit. That now that Bud got there and Errol there sort of slowed down, which blows my freaking mind on why, but whatever. We're now getting back into it. When it comes to Sebastion Fundura fighting Charles Conwell, I truly believe Sebastion Fundura is going to get knocked out. I believe Charles Conwell is going to catch this man with something that's going to mix his brain up. and that's going to be the beginning of the end. I do not believe this man is going to be able to come back from what Charles Conwell is going to put on him. I could be wrong. Sebastion may, do his thing, but, he has a tendency of fighting like Robert Easter. He doesn't fight the way he should fight. He doesn't fight from range. He doesn't use his range and distance and stay behind his jab and allow people to try to figure themselves out to get past that jab, and then come off the jab with uppercuts, come off the jab with straights. He don't just keep pop, 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 bang, pop. He don't do that. No, he follows his jab only to stay away, to get away when he's hurt, when he's buzzed, when he's dinged, and he got to stay. That's the only time he does it, which is the dumbest thing in the world. It should be the primary weapon and not the secondary weapon, not the get right weapon, not the get away weapon. And that's what he uses it for. And that's why I got Charles Conwell stopping him. If this fight gets made, if it gets made. Because like I told y'all in the beginning of this, right now, the fight is not done, but they're working on it. All right, they're working on it. Right now, it's Charles Conwell, Sebastion Fundura as the replacement for Errol Spence. They're working on it. All right, it's a great fight. I'll speak about the Errol Spence issue here shortly, but Terrence Crawford posted something, right? Terrence Crawford posted something about how, what did he say? He said something about how you should have took it when it was hot, when it was ready, or something like that, right? You should have took the fight when it was ready. You should have jumped on it when it was ready, or whatever the case may be, when it was there. However he articulated it, right? You should have took it when it was there. You should have did it when it was there. What I say to that is two things. One, he could be talking about Errol Spence. Two, he could be talking about Sebastion Fundura. If he's talking about Errol Spence when he's saying, pretty much that's what you get, you should have took it when the fight was there, now it's over. If he's talking about Errol Spence. Errol Spence is Errol Spence. So Errol Spence, as long as EJ wants to fight, he will fight, and it will be the biggest fight, period, in that weight class. There is no fight that is bigger than Errol Spence at 154. And I don't give a damn who's fighting who. There is no fight that's going to be bigger than fighting them without Errol Spence. Errol Spence in that fight makes that fight bigger. It doesn't matter who it is. I don't care who it is. There is nobody that Crawford can fight that will be bigger than Errol Spence fighting. Nobody. And the biggest fight that Crawford could fight would be Jermell Charlo. That would be the biggest fight he could fight. But he's not going to. And the second one will be Virgil Ortiz. But Errol Spence fighting the same opponents is levels bigger. It's levels bigger. Errol Spence fighting Jermell Charlo or Errol Spence fighting Virgil Ortiz is levels bigger than Terrence Crawford fighting the exact same people. It just is what it is, man. It just is what it is. It's no beef to Bud. No beef at all. He's a phenomenal fighter. Arguably the greatest fighter fighting right now. Arguably. He's phenomenal, bro. I'm not knocking him as a person, nothing like that. I'm just saying, bro, you just don't draw the way that Errol does. It just is what it is. It's no beef, no shade or nothing like that. There's fighters that just are draws. Tank Davis is a draw. Canelo Alvarez is a draw. They just are what they are, right? I'm not knocking those guys whatsoever. I'm just saying, it just is what it is, right? Devin is a draw. Hell, there's really Monster Inui's a draw. It really isn't that. That's basically it. That's basically it. Everybody else is a draw based on who they fight. These guys are a draw, period. they're a draw, period. But anyways, it's not a knock on nobody. Those are just is what it is, right? The thing where he's talking about Sebastion Fundura, when he's saying, you know, you should have fought when the iron was, you should have got it when it was right there, and now it's over with. Basically, what he said. That's because he's going to fight Canelo Alvarez, and when he fights Canelo Alvarez, I promise you, he is not going back down to 154. He's not, bro. 154 is finish. It's finish, y'all. And truth be told, I don't even know why he's got the belt right now. Whole different conversation. But 154 is done. Terrence Crawford's finished with 54. He's not fighting at 54 no more, bro. It is Canelo Alvarez, and then that man is going to retire. This is the last fight for Terrence Crawford, is Canelo Alvarez. He's retiring after this. Mark my words. He's done. He doesn't need to fight anybody else. You know what I'm saying? He really doesn't. He's walking Hall of Famer, legendary fighter in his own right, basically. It is what it is. So he's not fighting Sebastion Fundura. So that's why I think he's talking about you should have got it when it was there and now it's over with, right? He's not fighting anybody at 54. He's finished. This is the Charles Conwell, Erickson Lubin, Jermell Charlo, those guys mixing it up. Those guys, Sebastion Fundura, Errol Spence, those guys mixing it up, which is going to determine a new 154-pound undisputed champion if they all fight each other, which they seem to be fighting each other. But the fact that this fight is canceled, it really, really irks me, because I look at PBC like, what are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? What is PBC doing, bro? What are y'all doing? With Al Heyman sick, with Al Heyman out of the picture, whoever is running PBC right now is absolute booty. Y'all are cheeks. What are y'all doing? There was no purpose in linking up with Amazon. There was no purpose. None. The only people who are fighting on Amazon is Tank and Benavidez. So what was the purpose of linking up with Amazon at all, bro? You have this huge bag and you're doing absolutely nothing with it. Errol Spence should be fighting on Amazon. He should be fighting on Amazon Prime. Just where Tank is at, just where Benavidez is at. All three of them should be fighting on there. All three of them, they should be having fights on there to compete with the other networks who are putting on fights. PBC ain't doing anything, bro. You had this fight now for how long? How long did you have Errol Spence and Sebastion Fundura in the bag? It was set. How long, bro? And you've done absolutely nothing but keep moving the goalpost, moving it back a little bit, moving it back a little bit, moving it back a little bit, now canceling it. Now you put Charles Conwell in there. Not to say that Charles Conwell is not a great fight. He's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. And this stylistically is a better fight. Stylistically. Right? But Sebastion versus Errol Spence is a bigger fight. Way bigger fight. Way bigger in stature, way bigger in money, way bigger in eyes, way bigger in everything. It's way bigger because Errol is a draw by himself. It's way bigger. Charles Conwell is not a draw by himself. I'm not saying a man is not a good fighter at all. He's a really good fighter. And I believe he's going to destroy Fundura. I truly believe that because styles make fights. I think it was a better fight for Sebastion Fundura to fight Errol Spence than Charles Conwell. A way better fight. Just because Errol Spence is going to use his jab to work his way in to do work. He's going to use his jab. Sebastion Fundura is not going to allow that. And if he does allow that, he's a damn fool. Because Errol will break his body apart. See, the thing with Charles Conwell is not necessarily just going to use his jab to work his way in, right? He's going to do more to work his way in, and once he gets in, it's over with, because he's more defensively sound than Erickson Lubin, which is what cost Erickson Lubin. And I'm not saying he's more defensively sound, like in general, just in that fight, right? In that fight, Erickson Lubin wasn't as defensively sound as he normally is, and he got caught. Charles Conwell is always defensively sound. He's always looking to catch things. He's always looking to catch and shoot. He's always looking for that. So where Erickson Lubin sort of got mixed up in that, and then he got mixed up, you know what I'm saying? And then, he lost. Charles Conwell is not going to fall for that same suit. right? And they say, oh, well, Errol Spence, you know, he wasn't doing his jab with Terrence Crawford. No, he wasn't. He didn't, because he went out there to knock Crawford out, and it cost him. It cost him. That it just is what it is. He went out there to knock that man out, and Terrence Crawford did what Crawford does. But see, this fight right here between Charles Conwell and Sebastion Fundura, if it gets across the finish line, fireworks. And I got Charles Conwell knocking him out. I do not see this fight going the distance at all, if it happens. All right? And not saying that Charles Conwell can't lose now. Charles Conwell can get knocked at his damn self. If Sebastion Fundura uses his jab, which is damn 10, 20 inches longer than anybody else in the sport of boxing, not in the heavyweight division. He's only 7 foot tall, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I'm just saying, he don't fight like he should. And because he doesn't fight like he should, that's why I have Charles Conwell destroying him. But we'll see how that one plays out. But right now, with the fight being canceled, I'm disgusted. But it is what it is, man. BFTB, shout out to the mighty LDBC. And I'm out. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, share. Subscribe to my Patreon. And if you feel like supporting me, please support me in the PayPal or the Cash App.